That's the number one thing that I love about Argentina, because there's so much to love about Argentina, honestly. Like the history, the culture, it's a beautiful country. There's tons of stuff to do and see. The food is fantastic. The coffee is like great across the board. I love it. I love all of those things, but the people are so nice. Like people in Argentina are so nice. And it's not just the sort of like surface level nice where people are polite, right? Being polite is one thing, but like to have a complete random stranger who you just met and be like, yeah, like come on out and I'll drive you around my town, you can meet my family. And that stuff like that has happened to me several times in Argentina. I'm really, really grateful that that everybody has been so welcoming to me in Argentina.
Hola gente, ¿cómo les va? Bienvenidos a un nuevo video. Acá tenemos como invitado a Garry. Él es de Estados Unidos y está viajando por Latinoamérica y por Sudamérica y le encanta Argentina y nos va a contar su experiencia viviendo varios meses ahí en Argentina. ¿Cómo estás, Garry?
Mucho gusto, Enzo, y muchas gracias para invitarme para chatear conmigo.
Bueno, contame cómo fue tu experiencia llegando a Argentina. ¿Por qué Argentina?
No sé exactamente por qué Argentina. He querido viajar por Sudamérica por mucho tiempo. He querido viajar por el mundo, pero empecé a aprender español primero. Ahora solamente puedo hablar en inglés y un poco en español. Empecé a aprender otros idiomas también, pero no suficiente para conversar. Solamente puedo conversar en inglés o español, pero una cosa que hice para practicar español es practicar con amigos por internet. Y un amigo es de Argentina, de Puerto Madryn. Después de muchas veces hablando con él, me dice muchas cosas sobre Argentina, sobre la cultura, sobre la historia. No sé cómo se dice en español. I started to do a lot of research about Argentina, and the more I learned, the more I just really wanted to go. So when I decided to start my trip, I decided to start in Buenos Aires. So in November of last year, 2023, I had learned Spanish for like 9 or 10 months, and I asked my Argentine friend, I said, is my Spanish good enough now that I can travel to Argentina? And he said, yeah, you're good. So I booked a plane and hopped on it. And then in November, right at the beginning of the summer, I landed in Buenos Aires, and it's been traveling ever since.
Para la gente, no, él me había comentado antes que estuvo 3 meses anteriormente y ahora está en otros 3 meses, va a estar en Argentina viajando. ¿Cuál fue el choque cultural?
Necesito practicar mi español. Cada día necesito practicar porque necesito mejorar cada día, ¿sí? Pero en Argentina, la hora de almuerzo o desayuno y almuerzo y la cena, muy diferente que en Estados Unidos. El desayuno es muy, muy temprano y es muy grande, ¿sí? Un plato muy grande. Pero aquí en Argentina no, es como 10 por la mañana y solamente 2 medialunas y un café, ¿sí? La cena no empieza hasta como 9 por la noche o 10 por la noche. Es muy diferente en Estados Unidos. Todavía tengo hambre sobre las 6 o 7 por la noche, pero no hay restaurantes abiertos. Es difícil. Eso creo es
Choque cultural
choque cultural, sí,
o
es la más grande para mí.
habías comentado anteriormente que tu deseo es viajar o estar viajando. ¿Por qué tenés ese deseo de viajar?
Porque no he viajado mucho en mi vida antes, solamente un viaje en Italia cuando era adolescente y un viaje a Canadá, pero no, Canadá es un vecino de Estados Unidos y puedo manejar por carro a Canadá. No es un viaje muy, muy largo. I wanted to travel to other countries to understand the culture in other countries, to meet people from other countries, and to do it with with a long trip where I could spend a month or a few weeks at least in each city in different countries. And I think eventually I would like to travel to other parts of the world, but I started with South America because it was easiest for me to learn Spanish. I always had interest in South America, in history. I really enjoy history. It's something I'm very interested in. In the United States, when you're in high school or, secondary school and you're learning about history, you don't really learn they don't teach you about the history of South America except as like it relates to the United States, right? So like, for example, you learn about like Pinochet and Allende in Chile, but only because it's, part of the Cold War, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you learn about that when you're learning about the Cold War in the United States, you'll learn about like something like that. But other things you don't learn about unless maybe when you go to university, you go to college and you specifically choose to study South American history or something like that. So I wanted to learn about it. And the more I learned about it before I came here, the more I wanted to just come here and learn about it, here, right, in South America, and to really see the things that I was learning about. That was something, but also just I wanted to be immersed in the culture and to live in like at least for just a month at a time, to sort of live in a place where when I go out on the street every day, it's just normal people from that city, from that country, going about their lives. When I stay in certain neighborhoods, I always try to stay in a neighborhood that's not the tourist neighborhood. The tourist neighborhoods are fine and I visit them and I like visiting them. It's, it's fine just to see what's there, but I don't want to live there or I don't want to stay there because I want to, even for just like 1 month, try to get a feel of what it's like to like live in a specific like neighborhood, right? So like the very first place I stayed in Argentina when I went to Buenos Aires was in Wilde in
Mm-hmm.
Zona Sur, which I don't even know. I still don't know if it's pronounced Wilde or Wild.
It's really an English word. It should be wild, but it's in
Right?
Argentina it's wilde. Wilde.
That's what I thought because it is an English word, but I
Yeah.
didn't know. I just never knew how it was pronounced. But that's the first place I stayed. The video that I made about staying there is one of the most popular videos on my channel, and the comments are completely split. Half the comments are people saying, "Oh yeah, Wilde, it's great. I'm so glad you stayed in a place that wasn't like Recoleta or wasn't Palermo. Like, I'm glad that you saw the real experience, right?" And the other half is people saying like, "You have to be really careful in Wilde.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous. You're gonna get stabbed." And it's just like I didn't feel like it was dangerous. I felt right at home in Wilde. It felt
You survived your
very.
wilde, you are good. You will be
I
good. Okay.
liked it. I thought the vibes were great. The people were like so nice to me because I think that honestly, I think because not a lot of tourists stay in Wilde. So when I went into, a shop or a restaurant or whatever, if I'm go to the carniceria and I talk to the people, and they say, "Where are you from?" I say, "I'm from the United States." They look sort of surprised. "Oh, you're from the United States?
What
What
is
are you
it
doing
here?
here?" And I said, "No, I wanted to visit here." And so staying in Wilde for as my like very first place that I stayed at the very beginning of my trip, I think was an excellent choice because I think if I had stayed in Recoleta or I had stayed in Palermo for the very first like time that I'm out of my own country and I'm visiting Argentina, I would have had a very different experience, I think. And I think my outlook on traveling for the rest of the places that I went to see after that was very different
Yeah.
because I stayed in a place that wasn't the tourist, neighborhood, where a place where nobody spoke English. Basically, like I had to speak Spanish. It forced me to try and speak Spanish every day. So my Spanish got a lot better. My Spanish was, if you think it's bad now,
And
it
how
was
do you
bad.
deal every day with that, with the Spanish?
I just, people in Wilde were very patient with me. They're very patient with the Yankee. Sometimes you have to
Yeah.
use your phone, right? As a last resort, emergency, right? But I think most of the time I knew enough Spanish that I could get my point across. And sometimes I would meet people who knew enough English and they would be able to speak a little bit in English. But usually I would if someone started to speak to me in English, I would say, no, speak Spanish, like
Yeah.
try, so that I can try, right, to practice. But there were some tough times, like, and some mistakes that I made like for like a month. I was making the same mistake and nobody corrected me. They just laughed because so the one example is in English, the word embarrassed, right?
Mhm.
Embarrassed in English, in Spanish is avergonzado,
Avergonzado.
but there's the other word in in
Embarazado.
embarazado. See, and so usually when I don't know the right word in Spanish, because there are so many similar words between Spanish and English, like intelligent is inteligente and conversation is conversación. There's a lot of similar words. So usually, if I didn't know the right word, I would just try to say the English word, but with a Spanish accent to make it sound Spanish, right?
Yeah.
And most of the time, it's correct, but that time is not correct.
Yeah. This,
So for a month, I went around telling people stories about times when I was really pregnant. Oh, I was so pregnant,
that
and
happened to
they all
me
just laughed.
when I was learning English. That's happened to me too because it's so
Yeah,
embarrassing. It's embarazada.
right,
I don't
exactly.
understand what happened, but that is
Embarazada.
the other word is the same. It's like for me, was the same
Sí,
for
sí,
me.
pero ahora nunca voy a olvidar la palabra avergonzado.
Avergonzado.
Sí, sí,
Um,
avergonzado.
Another question for you is now that I'm living in US, the reason that you are traveling right now is some. It's like a. Do you need to be like a little outside of the regular job to be like a? I want to see different type of cultures. I want to see different type of people, to with
Yeah.
different people. It's like out of the rat race or something like that.
Kind of, yeah. I before I decided to do this, I had just regular, 9 to 5 jobs,
Mhm.
like working, and I had some money saved up. I just had an opportunity. It really happened actually like during and just after the pandemic, when I started to be able to earn a little bit of money doing this and that online. During the pandemic is a heavy time, right? For
Mhm.
everyone, I think. Everybody had a lot, when you're locked down for a couple months, like months, you get a lot of time to think about your existence and your
In
life,
Argentina
and
was
like what.
2 years, almost two
Yeah,
years.
yeah. No, I
It's
mean, it was
very bad.
that was well, that's the thing. In the United States, they lifted the lockdown pretty early in the United States. And I mean, honestly, a lot of people died in the United States from it. But regardless, I think just it was a major shock for the whole world. And everybody, I think, had that moment when they thought about, their existence, their life, their future. And it's really interesting. There's a book that it's called Station 11. It was made into a TV series, and it's also about a pandemic. And I read the book and saw the TV series during the pandemic, so it all sort of really sunk in. And there's a quote from that book that I remember. A character says, I don't want to live the wrong life and then die. And that
Yeah,
quote is always like right in the back of my head. I don't want to live the wrong life and then die. And I think just during the pandemic, I just realized, like, I want to do, even if it means that I don't make very much money, even if it means that I have to live on a very, very tiny budget. I don't have anything. All I have is what I can fit in a backpack. I sold everything I have. I sold my car. I sold everything. And even if it means that I don't have anything really, I get to have experiences that most people will probably never have. I'm always very grateful because I know that a lot of people, for one reason or another, won't even have the opportunity to do what I'm doing. So I recognize that I'm very lucky to be able to have the opportunity to do that, what I'm doing. I got to a certain point where I decided, like, I just have to do it. I had been going back and forth about whether or not I should. And I asked a lot of my family and my close friends, like, hey, this is the situation. Do you think I should do this? And they all said, yeah, you should do it. Because if you pass up the opportunity, you're going to
yeah,
regret it, forever. So you should just do it.
yeah. Especially when you are young, you can do some things that maybe in the future you can do that.
Yeah,
So,
exactly, exactly.
maybe I always think about that. Maybe the pandemic was a difficult time that opened minds too. I think a lot of
I think
people
so.
woke up too,
Yeah,
and thanks God we have like online jobs that we can work and travel at the same time.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, my goal eventually, because I just actually, even though the channel is still very small, I just got monetized on YouTube. So I've started earning just a very small amount of money from YouTube. But, eventually my goal in all of it was to grow the YouTube channel to a point where I can make enough money just from doing the channel to continue to travel. Because like I said, there's a lot of places that I want to see in the world, and it's going to take some time to see all those places, right? But I would really like to be able to just have the channel be just enough money to be able to continue traveling, right? I don't need to be the super rich YouTuber with millions of subscribers. I don't, I don't even want that, to be honest. Like I think if there's enough people out there who would be willing to subscribe and watch the content that I'm making and the places that I'm going, and if that is enough for me to make just enough money to keep it going, then I'll be very happy.
para la gente que está viendo, voy a dejar el link del canal de Garry acá en la descripción. Por favor,
Muchas
vayan y vean
gracias.
que el canal está buenísimo. Yo fui a ver el canal y me encantó las historias y los lugares que visita y cómo relata, cómo cuenta lo que va observando, lo va relatando y me gustó mucho el canal. Así que síganlo, que tiene mucho, es para aquellos argentinos que quieren aprender el inglés también, véanlo porque están en inglés y pueden aprender mucho también con respecto al inglés. Another question for you. What do you think about like an outsider about Argentina right now?
I think that being in Argentina, because of the economic situation.
If you want to respond the question, because I know I don't
No,
want to
no,
create
no.
problems.
It's fine. I've talked about this. I've talked about this in previous videos. That being in Argentina, the economic situation, it makes me realize, as someone from the United States, that like all of the people in the United States, they don't know how good they have it. Right. I don't know how else to explain it. There, right around the time that I left to come to Argentina in November. So November, that was like,
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what the inflation rate was in November. I think it was 160. Now
200.
it's
No,
now
no.
it's
What?
up. It went
Yeah,
up. It went up almost to 300, and now it's starting to come back down.
yeah.
But right when I left, a few months before I left, there was inflation in the United States, and it was a major issue. The news every night talking about inflation and people complaining about inflation, and the inflation was like 10%,
Exactly.
and everybody
A
lost their
year,
minds. Yeah,
10% a
exactly.
year.
A year, and it was only up for a few months, and then it came back down. Now it's down at about 3 or 4%, and everybody lost their minds. People went crazy. The news every night talking about it. And I came here, and the idea of 200% inflation is something that, like, my mind, I couldn't even understand it until I was here. And once I was here, and like, the empanada place down the street was selling empanadas when I got to Buenos Aires for 350 each, 350 pesos each. And then I was spent 1 month in Buenos Aires, and when I left Buenos Aires, the same empanada place was selling them for 450 pesos each. I went to grocery stores, supermercados, and they had price tags on the shelves that are digital, so they can adjust the price more
Mhm.
easily. And
Yeah.
every time you go to a restaurant, the menus is just all the prices are written in by hand. And I couldn't understand it until I was here and experiencing it. And I'm, of course, much very fortunate because I earn money in dollars, and that I understand the situation, that my situation is not at all the situation of people in Argentina who are living here and they earn money in pesos. They have to deal with the inflation without the sort of safety of earning in dollars and being able to take advantage of the exchange rate.
An increase monthly, like the inflation. Inflation
Yeah,
increase bigger,
yeah.
and the
I
money is
I
the
try to
same.
explain it. I try to explain it to my friends and family. I try to explain it on the channel when I can, because even though a lot of my viewers on the channel are from Argentina, just because I've spent so much time in Argentina, a lot of my viewers are from the United States also. And so I try to explain it to them so that they can understand the situation, because like I said, it's very hard for someone from the United States to understand exactly how serious the situation is and how hard it is for people here, like in Argentina, because there are things that they don't consider, that they don't think about. They just think, oh, the prices are higher, are getting higher, but it's so much more than that, right? You know, the interest rates are so high, you can't borrow money. So if you can't borrow money, you can't really do anything. If you want to borrow money to you know, buy a house, you can't do it. If you want to borrow money to expand your business, like, you can't do it. There's so many other considerations that I think people just don't think about. So I don't know. I think one of the things that really like surprised me, and one of the things that really made me like people in Argentina, is that even though all of this is going on, and even though they're in a really, really hard spot, like financially, everybody's dealing with like these problems, people are still like super friendly to me. People are still trying as best they can to just like live their lives and be positive about it. Whereas I think in the United States, people they have a more negative outlook. They have a more pessimistic outlook, which is so strange because it should be the opposite, right?
Yeah.
People in the economic situation in the United States should be super optimistic, but they're not. And people in Argentina who are in the economic situation in Argentina, they should be really pessimistic. But I've met so many people who are just still very, like, I don't know, there's a sort of a joy here that like still exists. And I really the people are very strong, and they have such strength that I really admire, because I don't know I don't know if I was in that same situation that I would have the same strength.
Yeah, and another thing that I always hear from people from the country that lives in Argentina is they said that you will be, if you're in Argentina, it will be, the people will always help you if you need something, or even if they don't have enough money, maybe they can help you,
Yeah.
and that's it's a very good point in for Argentina, and it's
It's
something that
it's
is really amazing.
is truly amazing. Like like I said, I'm not going to mention what city I'm in because it's going to be a surprise for my viewers on the channel. One of the places where I stayed in my last stay in Cordoba, the person who I rented the apartment, the host of the apartment where I stayed, just was so friendly. He just said, "Hey, like, you know, this weekend, come out. I'll introduce you to my friends. We'll go have drinks." You know, it's like, that was so great. And just recently, in a city where I just was, I was filming. I was out filming and doing what I normally do. You know, filming, talking to myself in English like an idiot. And after I filmed a little bit, there was this woman who was standing there, and she said, "Oh, so where are you from?" And I said, "Oh, I'm from the United States." And we started chatting a little bit, and we chatted for like half an hour. And then I said, "Oh, this is great, but I got to get the bus back to my apartment." She says, "No, no, no. I have a car. I'll give you a ride, and I'll show you, like, I'll drive you past all these places you can see. You know, I'll show off." She was very proud of her city, and she's, "I'll show off my city." And so eventually she dropped me off, and she lived outside the city in a town that was like just outside the city. And I said, you know, one of these days that I'm here, I have to like get a bus or something and go and see what it's like outside the city.
Hmm.
And she said, this was on a Friday. She says, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I said, "I don't know." She said, "Well, why don't I'll come pick you up,
Oh
and
wow!
I'll drive you out there. I'll introduce you to my family. You can meet some of our friends." And so we had a whole day. We had a picnic. We had a merienda at her friend's house. You know, it's just like, I met her whole family. That kind of stuff is just, that's why I love Argentina so much. That's the number one thing that I love about Argentina, because there's so much to love about Argentina, honestly. Like, the history, the culture, it's a beautiful country. There's tons of stuff to do and see. The food is fantastic. The coffee is like great across the board. I love it. I love all of those things, but the people are so nice. Like, people in Argentina are so nice. And it's not just the sort of like surface level nice where people are polite, right? Being polite is one thing, but like, to have a complete random stranger who you just met and be like, "Yeah, like, come on out, and I'll show you. Well, I'll drive you around my town. You can meet my family." And that stuff, like that, has happened to me several times in Argentina, because people are just, I don't know, they're very nice. And I think when they meet someone who is not from Argentina, they want to like show them like the experience.
Yeah.
So because I think people really love like their experiences in Argentina, and they want other people to experience those things and love the country the way that they do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like a okay. That's dulce de leche. We want all to try dulce de leche or
Yeah,
asado, the best meat in the world. We have
exactly.
the best football, the best, but it's something very Argentinian. So
I think
something that they
so.
want to show, want to share for every people in the world. And
Yeah.
try mate, try dulce de leche, try different, I don't know, empanadas or
Yeah.
pizza. But I think it's something that's very typical from Argentina. I'm happy you really noticed that. That
Oh, I love it.
okay.
I love it. I look, I've been to so far 4 countries, and I've enjoyed all of them. And but I think I've enjoyed Argentina the most. This is gonna people are gonna get mad about this. People, my viewers from Chile and Peru and Ecuador, they're gonna get mad about this. But like, I enjoyed all of those countries as well. I really did. But after Ecuador, and actually, I will say I really enjoyed Ecuador a lot more than I thought I was going to. And I ended up originally only planning to stay there for 1 month, and I stayed for 3 months
Oh
because I
wow.
really did enjoy it. But for the same reason, because the people in Ecuador were so like very like nice and sociable, and like they were just I really enjoyed that. There's a plug for Ecuador. But I decided to come back to Argentina after, because there were still things here that I wanted to see, and I just kind of felt like it's strange. I didn't feel homesick for the United States,
Hmm.
but I was in Ecuador and I felt homesick for Argentina. Like I was like, man, I want to go back to Buenos Aires, you know? So it's very weird. It's a very weird feeling, because it's definitely, I mean, it's not my home, but people were so welcoming that it made me feel like I had unfinished business and I needed to go
Yeah,
back.
Argentina have good hospitality, very good hospitality.
Absolutely.
And it's something that you want to say to Argentinians of your viewers
Uh,
to wrap this video. So
yeah, I would say to Argentina first. I've said it already in some of my videos, but I
mhm,
want to say it here. Like, I really, really am very, very grateful, because it's not just that I enjoy Argentina and that I like the people have been very, very nice. Like, I recognize, having traveled around all over the place and just being alone, like, you get kind of lonely sometimes. I'm more comfortable being alone than I think a lot of other people are, which is one of the reasons why I can do this. But for people in Argentina who have been like so nice to me, even from just the people who maybe like after they meet me, they say like, "Oh yeah, here, add me on WhatsApp, and if you have any questions, you let me know." To people who invited me out to see like their family and meet their family and pet their dog and all of those things. I'm really, really grateful that that everybody has been so welcoming to me in Argentina, because I think it has sort of given me a reason to want to keep coming back, because Argentina is so big and there's so much to see. There's so many cities to see. I after this trip, I will have been to 5 different cities in
wow.
Argentina, and there's still so many more to see. And I'm really, really grateful to everybody that's been so welcoming and so nice to me in Argentina. It's been a very, very, not a surprise necessarily, because like I said, my friend who I met online from Puerto Madryn, he had told me that people in Argentina are like very, like they're very nice. They're gonna invite you, to like to
They will kiss
asado.
you, they will hug you.
They're gonna hug and kiss it. They're gonna invite you to asado and all of that. But I didn't really know how nice everybody was gonna be. So thank you for that, definitely. And also, like, I recognize this. One thing that I would like to say to anybody who watches this, if they're from the United States or there's someone who's like thinking of coming to Argentina, one of the things that I noticed when I was doing research was there are a lot of people that come to Argentina, and the only reason they came to Argentina is because they can get the exchange rate, the blue dollar rate, and basically they come because it's cheap, which is fine. Like, if that's why you want to come to Argentina to be a tourist in Argentina, that makes perfect sense. But I hope people understand that, like, the reason that you get that exchange rate and the reason that it is so cheap is because the economy is in a
Yeah.
very bad state. And I think I mentioned this in a previous
Yeah,
video
there's
that I
people suffering behind of that.
yeah, people there's people suffering behind that, and don't flaunt it, you know? Don't I don't know. I just try and be humble as you can when you're here because it's not I just don't think it's a cool thing to do to just be the I never want to be the ugly American tourist, you know?
Yeah.
We have a bad reputation, tourists from my country, for going to other countries and being just insufferable. And I never want to do that myself, and I hope that other people don't also, because I really think that things are improving in Argentina, the economy wise. I can see, because I do pay attention to the economy, and I can see the signs that things are starting to improve, but it's still a very, very, very hard situation. And I don't know where I'm going with this. I would like to say, like, to everybody in Argentina, like stay strong,
Yeah.
honestly, stay strong. And I would be happy. I would be happiest to come back to an Argentina some years in the future, 2, 3 years in the future, where the economy is so stable that it's expensive for someone like me from the United States or from Europe to come, and it's a place where people won't come just because it's cheap.
Yeah.
I would that would make me so happy, because I would know that, like, I still get a chance to see, the beautiful country of Argentina. I still get to, like, meet people here, but all of them are doing better because the situation is better, and because the
Mhm.
economy in the country is doing better. That is something
Yeah.
that would make me very, very happy.